So my next gym tip video is called Don't Be Afraid to Not Know Something. So one of the worst things I get in the gym, you know what? I've actually got a bit of a problem. A lot of people take it out on modern age and new lifters. But old school lifters can be so full of shit and give you some things. A lot of people go, oh, it's an old school gym. That doesn't mean that old guy at that gym is probably giving you shit. You know, when I was your age, I squatted 300 kg and benched 180 and half these guys didn't do it. And the issue is, what's the words I'm looking for, is you want to, not everyone knows everything, and that's the point. Like, when I first started, well, I'll go back further, what stuff I trained 5 or 6 years ago, I probably completely disagree with now, because I'm constantly learning, I'm constantly progressing. And I think it's very, very important to learn. And I don't care if someone's older than me, someone's younger than me. I remember actually about 3 years ago, there was a kid who asked to join in some sets with me, and he was 17, and he was very enthusiastic and stuff. And he was like, hey, can I join in doing deadlifts and stuff? And, you know, and he learned, I gave him some deadlift advice, and his deadlift really improved, and he thanked me for it. And then I remember I was like, way after, he was doing an exercise, and he did it slightly different. It was on the for the lat pull downs. I'll show it actually. Sorry, not lat pull downs, it was for a rowing exercise, but he did a very unique movement. I hadn't actually seen it before. And I asked him why he was doing it. He told me what it was for and why he did it. And the actual area on him was very well developed, especially for his age. So I tried the exercise, and I thought, fucking hell, he's right. You can feel this exercise working. I got strong in it, and I saw great back development. So I saw the 17-year-old kid, and I saw, hey, you know what? Last 6 weeks, he has progressed on his back. He thinks this is one of his best exercises. Give it a go. Tried it, saw that it worked. And that's because I was eager to learn myself. You know, I didn't rule something out. If I see a kid like him and he goes, hey, you know what? I got 20 kilos added to my bench press by doing this, this, and this. And it really brought up my triceps where I was struggling. And I'm struggling on my triceps. Maybe I'm lifting 200 kilos. I don't know. I'm going to try that because that kid has found something that works. And just because he's a kid doesn't mean it doesn't work. Likewise, when I get someone come in and go, oh, I've trained for 20, 30, 40 years, and they're giving advice that, and I try and go, you know, this just doesn't work for me. I'm not going to take it because it's shit advice. And just because it's a hardcore gym or it's an old school doesn't mean fuck all. You know, you can go to the old school boxing gyms and it's, you know, there's balls who talk shit. Which actually leads me to another story, actually, to go further in. The reason I'm giving a bit of this advice and saying always want to learn is a lot of people be like, you can't do that, you can't do that, you should. Why can't you do that? You know, give a reason. If someone said to you, if you said to someone, hey, you know, I'm thinking of doing behind the neck press, blah, blah, and they go, don't do behind the neck press, it's bad for you, blah, blah, blah. It's actually not. That's completely bullshit. But if they come back and say to you, yeah, I can't do over the neck press because I had a rotator cuff injury, it puts a lot of pressure there, I prefer doing it at the front. That is logical. That makes so much sense. So make sure when people's giving you advice and that, you ask questions back and you go, yeah, that actually, you know what, it makes sense. Or are they talking shit? Like the story I was going to tell, there was a boxing coach and there's 2 British Championship boxers that I happen to know. Anyway, this boxing coach would go around the gym and he would tell people, hey, I trained these 2 British champions. And he had this picture with his arms around them when they were younger. So a lot of people, yeah, okay, train them, you know, took it at face value. And I'd done boxing since I was, the first time was 11. So I'd done it for years. So I'd go in, you know, I was like, you know what, I'm thinking of doing maybe a fight, maybe something. So I'd like to do something. So I got by and I thought, I'll have him coach me. It was quite obvious after 2 or 3 sets. Well, first, he wasn't a good boxing coach. He didn't know what he was talking about. I disagreed with a lot of his methods. Very disagreed. And then, you know, I ended up talking to one of these guys because I know him quite well, and he's a British champion, and I'm telling him, he goes, no, he didn't coach us. I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, I never coached us. He goes, we were taken off the streets at a young age, blah, 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 and he happened to go to the gym and work there. He was never our coach. He was actually just like a glorified cleaner. He was a glorified PT, but he was a straight, you know, he was a thin. And he told me like the true story, but this guy was going around with his pictures, showing people who went to the boxing scene, getting kids, getting young women, young men, older men, you know, pro fitness and saying, yeah, I've trained these guys and teaching them all these techniques. The issue was the guy hadn't trained these guys. He'd never been in a boxing fight himself. He'd actually never been in a real fight. Never. Now, I'm not saying there's anything great about fighting and stuff. And, you know, being in fights doesn't make you a hard man or anything clever. But I think it's very important, you know, that you have some realistic experience. And the reason I say this is, like, I taught a women's self-defense class, and, you know, I've taught a few, and then one little girl said to me, I showed some very basic moves. It was all essential stuff with eye grabs, rakes, anything you could do in this situation. We went through a few positions, and I showed her a few chokes, etc., etc. Anyway, after some time, a girl was attacked, and she choked someone out. And she said to me, she goes, "But actually, I defended myself when he started hitting me." She goes, "With what you taught me to do, I was able to shove my thumb in his eye, and as he lowered his head, I was able to lock this choke in." And she was like 8 stone, he was like 6'4", 16, 17 stone. So it was a proud moment for me that she'd done it. But my point was, I'd used that myself when I was younger. I'd had to use it. I knew it would work if she was able to do it. So I think when you go around, you're doing self-defense classes for women like this coach was, and then you're going, "Hey, so yeah, this works in this situation." Because mate, you've never been in a fight. You've never been on the concrete getting your face rubbed. You've never been in a prison getting, you know, with someone with a knife. You never disarmed anyone. So when you're telling someone, "Yeah, this is what I do," you don't know because you haven't been in the situation. And I think that's a very concerning thing, especially when you're teaching young people or someone in general who's putting their life and trust in you. So always be careful with that. And the same way as when you're teaching someone, you know, some mother out there goes, you know, a single mum comes out there and she's working her ass off to pay this guy to coach her son to become a champion boxer, and the son's loving it, he's really into it, and he's teaching him these horrible techniques and advice, and then the kid goes and gets his head kicked in his first fight because he's had a bad coach who's lied about him. So always do your research as well when you take advice, and just because someone's been around a long time doesn't mean anything. You know, I know some guys and they'll be like, "Hey, I know Chris, hey, I know this guy, I know this guy, I know this guy," and they don't know us, they're not friends, they're just people who've been around gyms a long time, throw names out there. So always remember that one.